Hi, it's Dr. Darren Schmidt at the Nutritional Healing Center of Ann Arbor, and I have a bunch of notes. You know how it goes. I have these really cool experiences or cognitions in my office, and I jot it down and I stuff it in my pocket and I compile it and I'm sharing it with you. So here's my points that I want to share with you. Number one, I have a triathlete who just got into ketosis, and this is what he said. It's preventing soreness and stiffness in his muscles and joints when he wakes up in the morning. And he can think better, his brain's working better, and he's better able to hydrate. He lives in Florida, and it can get quite warm there, and he did an Ironman about 4 months ago, but he's having much better success and feeling more flexible with ketosis. So, and I know somebody now, he was helping me assemble some furniture. We're on our knees on the floor, and he's getting up and he's grunting and groaning because he's stiff and sore. This is another gentleman, and I said, have you been in ketosis yet? And he said, no. I said, well, you wouldn't be so stiff if you got into ketosis. So now he's gonna get into ketosis. So picture all the older people that you know, maybe it's you, if you can sit on your knees for 5 minutes and get up a little bit like with some spring, you know, and being spry, then good. But if you're on your knees for 5 minutes and then you try to get up and you're like, lifting yourself up with your arms and your knees and your muscles are sore, you got to get into ketosis. Don't go to the medical doctor. They'll give you painkillers and muscle relaxers and tell you to eat more bread. Don't do that. Okay, next I want to talk about this product called Fast Food. I've talked about it before. It has a lot of purposes. It's phosphorus. Now you can get other phosphorus products, it's fine, but phosphorus is the main component of a chemical in the body called ATP, which is energy. So your body takes sugar, fat, and protein and does all this stuff to it and makes ATP. A is adenosine, T means tri, and P means phosphorus. So it's 3 phosphoruses. And then when that is used as energy, it dumps off 1 phosphorus and 1 oxygen. It becomes ADP. The D stands for 2. So if I had phosphorus in my hand right now, and it's exposed to oxygen, it burns. That's fuel. That's what your body's using. It's phosphorus and oxygen. Okay, so fast food, this supplement, is phosphorus. And it tastes horrible. And you can squirt it in your mouth and chase it down with water, but it gives you instant energy. Your body makes ATP much faster, like quickly, like in 10 seconds. You feel this energy surge. Now, I've been healthy my whole life until about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now, when I had black mold poisoning in my heart and lungs. And I remember one time I took phosphorus and I had this instant energy. Now, I've taken it for 10, 15 years on and off. I never felt this instant burst of energy because I was healthy. Okay, so if you're not healthy, if your shoulders are sagging and you're dragging yourself around, try some phosphorus and see if you perk up. It'll beat 5-hour energy. It'll beat caffeine. It'll beat all kind, nicotine possibly. So, and the more you take, the better off you are. Okay, and the more energy that you get. Okay, so there you go. You got to try that if you need to, if it applies to you. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is a guy with arthritis. His form of arthritis is called ankylosing spondylitis, and the joints are locked up and the whole spine becomes calcified. It's a rod, so he can't turn his head. He's got to go like this at the hips or at the legs. And he's been on painkillers for 20 years. I put him on a product called Boswellia complex. And within 2 months, he's off the pain medications. Now, this doesn't happen with everybody all the time with chronic pain or with different types of arthritis. But if you have chronic pain, it's worth a try to do the best quality, highest quality Boswellia herb that you can. It's got to be the right dose. Every pill or every dose has to be, every daily dose has to be 2 grams, not 100 milligrams like you find at the health food store. 2,000 milligrams, so it's got to be the right dose. My favorite is from MediHerb Boswellia complex. Okay, and he only takes his pain medications when he plays tennis. So he does that twice a week, and he's able to play tennis, and that's when he takes his pain meds. Otherwise, he's just doing Boswellia complex. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is gaining weight during ketosis. It doesn't really happen, okay, because you're burning fat. You want to burn weight, or you want to gain weight between burning fat, between your ketogenic eating, between fasting. That's when you gain weight. Now, when you're in ketosis, let's talk about muscles. There's two kinds of muscles. One is the bulky kind you see on bodybuilders, and another kind is the powerlifter, flat, very strong muscles. All right, when you're in ketosis, the bulky muscle fibers will deflate, but the powerlifter flat muscles get stronger, okay, or they stay the same. All right, now if you're in ketosis and you feel weak, that's because you're deficient in potassium, or your cells aren't burning fat yet. Okay, so the point here is that I've had mostly guys try to gain weight, and because they're small and they want to put on weight, well, it's like you got to do that between ketogenic eating, okay, and between fasting, and then stuff your face and lift weights. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is I had a guy doing 5-day fasting, and his GKI, which is glucose ketone index, it measures how much glucose is in your blood versus ketones. He wanted to go below 1.0, which is called true therapeutic ketosis. And he wasn't able to do it because he was taking supplements. He was taking my supplements, and he could not get below 1.0 GKI. Here's a video where I talk about GKI. And so he stopped the supplements at the next fasting round, and then he got down to 0.5 and 0.6 GKI. So supplements can prevent your ketones from going higher. And obviously statin drugs, which are the drugs that reduce cholesterol in your blood, they will absolutely prevent your ketones from going higher because they're artificially decreasing the fat in your blood. Okay, so just keep your eye out for that. If you're taking supplements during a fast, it may prevent deeper ketosis. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is I have a patient who's diabetic, and her glucose was rising up to 150, 170, and she's on medications. So she's starting off with a ketogenic diet, and she's eating macadamia nuts and MCT oil. Now, I used to sell MCT oil, but it causes diarrhea for most people, so I quit selling it. And now her glucose is going up to 300. It's spiking way up. Now, we don't know if it's the macadamia nuts or if it's the MCT oil. Either way, she stopped both. After a week, I talked to her, and she went on to avocado oil. Now her blood sugars are 120 and even lower. So in the course of 2 weeks, we saw what her body didn't like, and then we saw what her body loves. And regardless of grams of fat, the quantities were fine. Her macronutrients were excellent the whole time. It was the quality of the food. So it's potentially the MCT oil, her body didn't like it. So these are things that you need to pay attention to. Maybe your body doesn't like the food that you're eating, even though your macronutrients are fine. Okay, 2 more things to talk about. One is I want to talk about thyroid medications. So I've helped some people get off their thyroid medications permanently, and then other people I wasn't successful with. Most people, to be honest. So when you're taking the thyroid medication, it's hormones. It doesn't fix the thyroid. The way you fix the thyroid is with iodine and taking thyroid glandular pills. Here's a video I did about it. So if you've been on the thyroid medication hormones for too long, your body will get used to it and always need it. Now, my biggest success was a woman who was on thyroid medications for over 50 years. She was simply iodine deficient, and it took 1.5 years and she got off the thyroid medications. And I just had a guy recently, it only took 2 months for him to get off the thyroid medications. So iodine and thyroid gland, and then, in a pill form. The other aspect is what's in your thyroid. Do you have a virus in there? Do you have mercury? Are you deficient in other nutrients? Okay, so that's where your holistic doctor comes into play to figure this kind of stuff out. Okay, but if you have the beginnings of a thyroid problem, you got to fix it with nutrition. Once you start on that medication, your body may get used to it. You have a short window of time to fix that thyroid. The last thing I want to talk about is I ask people, what are your symptoms? And they say thyroid, they say brain, skin. Okay, those are not symptoms. You got to give me the symptom. Like, my brain doesn't work as well like it used to 5 years ago. My memory isn't that good. Or I have a TSH, a lab test that shows my thyroid is bad. That kind of stuff. And I want to say that there are women will often say, my symptom is early menopause, or my symptom is hormones. Okay, that's not enough. You just have to describe that to me more. And early menopause is not a disease. You can have uncomfortable symptoms with that, like too frequent periods or hot flashes, of course. So you got to say the symptoms. All right, so those are my notes. And if you like this information, please give me a thumbs up. Now, there's a lot of people that watch my videos and they don't subscribe. If that's you, you have to subscribe. Okay, and then once you do that, you got to hit the bell for notifications, because that's how it goes on YouTube right now. Subscribing doesn't mean that you're going to get notified that I put a video up. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. And please share this with somebody who has problems with their health, with their thyroid. They want to gain weight, they want to get into ketosis, or whatever else I talked about in my notes. All right, see you at the next video.